I'm joined by Lord Taylor of Warwick, member of the House of Lords, and someone who sat through quite a few of Queen Elizabeth's Queen's speeches.
Hello, Nigel. Yes, indeed. I met the Queen on a number of occasions.
And that feeling when she walks into the chamber and the House of Commons come in to join you, I mean, this is a system of government, and it's been amended and changed, but basically a system of government that has stood the test of time down the centuries.
Yes, it's the mother of all parliaments. She had an aura. She was the nation's grandmother. When she walked into the chamber, we fell silent. Dukes, viscounts, earls. We just looked at her and we listened.
And of course, there are also the Lords spiritual, the Lords temporal, the Church, of course, being represented in the House of Lords. And until the reforms, I think quite a few members of the royal family technically had seats, didn't they, in the House?
They did, and I'm sorry that Tony Blair chucked them out. I think that was a mistake, frankly.
Yeah, I remember once going in to the House of Lords and I saw the coat peg for the Duke of Edinburgh. I thought, well, actually, I'm surprised that sign's still there because he's not allowed in anymore. But that did change, didn't it?
It did, and I think it didn't improve things because now it's far more political, whereas the royalty being in the House of Lords just brought it to a higher level, gave it a bit of glamour, if you like.
Yeah, and the House of Lords in session today, as is the House of Commons. What's been happening today?
Paying tributes to the Queen because, you know, we miss her. She was 96 years of age, ruled for 70 years, the longest-serving British monarch, and yet we're still in shock.
Yes, I know. Well, we thought she was immortal.
Absolutely.
Well, I did. I mean, clearly I was very wrong.
Well, you are, but I think
well, I don't know about that. Yeah, no, it has come as the most... Well, I guess the very fact that 48 hours before we saw the photograph with Liz Truss, it didn't seem possible that the end could come as quickly.
She believed in public duty, and that was the thing about her. She was also above politics. You know, this is a time, a true leader should be a healer, and this nation, and indeed the world, needs healing. We've got inflation, cost of fuel, Ukraine, war. You know, the nation needs coming together, and she provided that healing balm.
Yes.
And so we need reassurance from Charles III that he will continue that he won't be a meddling monarch, as it were.
Yeah, well, that's the great hope, isn't it? And I mean, to be honest, we're all talking about that because we know he believes in what he believes in with great passion.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, as Simon says, you know, by all means condemn ghastly architecture. I hope he goes on doing that.
Yes, but you see,
that's not political as such,
no,
is it?
He's gone from prince to king.
Yes.
He's gone from, well, regent to ruler, and he's got to understand he needs to be above these party political matters.
Yeah, no, he does.
You know, he can't talk about, you know, climate change and so forth and organic farming. Yes, he has views. What slightly worried me about his televised address yesterday was that he seemed to be putting pressure on his son, Prince William, to start meddling. And I think that would be a big mistake.
Yes, as you say, the baton's been passed.
Yes.
And you could argue that William's speech at the Platinum Jubilee a few weeks ago was going, in a sense, in that direction of environmental campaigning.
Yes, he has views, of course, but I think he just needs to understand that, you know, they are above politics. Leave the politics to the politicians.
And for much of that reign, and most of that reign, and much of what you saw, of course, it wasn't just the Queen. Prince Philip, of course, was there
Yes, and I met Prince
side.
Philip on many occasions. I was at a Commonwealth reception in London. I was dressed in my suit and tie, and the Queen came up to me and shook my hand and smiled. Duke of Edinburgh comes to me, looks at me. What exotic part of the world are you from? And I said, Birmingham. And then he walked by and he looked back and he said, I suppose somebody's got to be. So there we are, Prince Philip.
Yes.
He meant well.
Yes, he wasn't frightened of saying what he thought.
No.
And generally,
Birmingham's a very nice place. Fantastic people.
Of course, you can sing the praises of Birmingham, of course you can. No, I mean, he generally got away with it. Once or twice the tabloids did pick up on things that he had to say. But no, I think he was a remark. I met him a couple of times too, and yes, He wasn't frightened of saying what he
Oh, no, but you see, the Queen was so nice to me and gracious. I was the first black parliamentary candidate for the Conservative
I
Party.
remember, yeah.
And I stood for Parliament in Cheltenham, and there was a kind of a race riot almost. They never had a black person before. And there was a message from Buckingham Palace, from the Queen, I do hope your little problem in Cheltenham resolves itself soon.
Wow.
And that just encouraged me.
And she was very, very aware, wasn't she, of the demographic change that had taken place in this country.
Yes, yes.
She had, I mean, I'm not sure, Lord Taylor, I'm not sure the Commonwealth would even exist without her.
Well, you see, she realised she wasn't just Queen of the UK, she was Queen of the Commonwealth, 56 nations, 2.4 billion people.
It's just incredible.
And she was the head of that, very much so. And he did it around the Commonwealth. People are mourning her. It's not just in this country.
No. No, as I say, I think the whole thing would have collapsed
I think
in the 70s or 80s without her.
Unless you'd taken over.
Well, yes, that was pretty unlikely, but I'd give it a best shot. But no, I've met people all over the world.
Yes.
You know, taxi drivers in the Caribbean, and they talk about
But my
this woman.
parents are the Windrush generation. They came
Yes.
from Jamaica in the 1940s. There was no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. My father used to joke, if you were a black Irish Labrador, you'd have real problems, you know. But, you know, they loved the royal family.
Yes.
You know, they had a picture of the Queen and the Queen Mother on the mantelpiece.
Yeah, no, she did an awful lot, I think, for those countries. And it does upset me when we get certain voices, mercifully few, although in America, the New York Times seems to specialise in this day after day after day, attacking everything about this country. But I think the amazing achievement is all the European countries had empires, all of them.
Of course, and empires come to an end eventually. But you see, for 40 years...
But our relationship
has stood the test of time.
with our former colonies is unique, I think, in world history.
For 40 years, we were obsessed with Europe. And then came along Brexit, which you may have heard of, Nigel.
Yes.
And now we need to trade more with the Commonwealth.
Yes. So,
It's a no-brainer.
and is it going to happen?
I think if the politicians listen, yes. I hope so. I really do hope so.
And a final thought, Lord Taylor. King Charles III. I'm still struggling to say King Charles III. Well, I still think of the Prince of Wales, because it's going to take all of us a little bit of time. Are you optimistic?
I am. I just hope that this is the dawn of a new era and not the dawn of a new era. If he starts meddling, then it's a problem. But if he realises he's above the political fray and should just be an inspiration and be a true leader, you know, Matthew 5, verse 9, blessed are the peacemakers, help to heal the nation coming back together again. That's what he needs to do. So I'm optimistic. I really
and I thought, Simon Heffer's comment, you know, when he was asked about this a few years ago, he said, look, I'm not an idiot.
No, exactly. He gets...
And he's not an idiot. And he's very sincere. Very genuine. And I don't agree with all
He's no longer the regent, he's the ruler. And he needs to rule.
Yes, but I don't agree with all his views, but I love the passion
indeed.
that he's got as a human being. Lord Taylor of Warwick, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Nigel.
The anecdote about the Duke of Edinburgh, well, I'm sure, you know, have some people reaching for the smelling salts, but there we are. You told it very well. And thank you.
Thank you
for coming on and joining us.